Okay, so picture this. 100 sets of identical twins walk in.
Wow.
They all think they have a shot at winning $250,000.
Okay.
But to get it, they're going to have to go through some pretty intense challenges, all designed to test not just how in sync they are, but you know how strong their bond actually is.
Yeah.
So get this.
Sounds intense.
It is. Oh, it is. This is MrBeast's 100 identical twins fight for $250,000. And let me tell you, it is a wild ride from start to finish.
I bet. Just the sheer scale of it, right? 100 pairs of twins. That's like a recipe for chaos and some serious twin-on-twin action.
Oh, you know it. And what's fascinating is how this video, it really dives into that whole idea of twin telepathy. You know, that almost mythical connection everyone talks about.
Right, right.
Like MrBeast took that concept and said, all right, let's crank it up to 11 and see what happens.
Yeah, because imagine the pressure of competing, not just for yourself, which is already a lot,
Right.
but for someone who's basically your built-in best friend, your other half, it's a whole other level of intensity.
Oh, absolutely. And you see that right away. Like from the second those twins walk in, they've got this mix of excitement, like who wouldn't be excited about a chance to win that kind of money?
Of course.
But also this look of, wait, did we actually sign up for this?
Yeah, what have we gotten ourselves into? I can only imagine.
Exactly. It's like they're realizing the stakes just got a whole lot higher because it's not just about winning for yourself anymore. It's about your twin, your shared history, everything.
And knowing MrBeast, he's not going to let them off easy with any of these challenges.
Oh, not at all. Not even close.
So what's the first obstacle these twins have to overcome?
First up, they got to memorize color sequences.
Okay, sounds simple enough.
You'd think so, but here's the catch. They start with, like, 6 colors. Easy peasy. Anyone can handle that.
Right.
But then, and this is Mr. Beast we're talking about, they ramp it up
Yeah.
fast. Before you know it, they're trying to memorize sequences of 27 colors.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's a whole other ballgame. 27 colors. So how do the twins handle that kind of pressure?
It was fascinating to watch, honestly. Some of them, they just clicked. Like one twin would start talking, the other would finish their sentence, almost like they were reading each other's minds.
It's like they've got their own secret language, right?
Yeah, exactly. But then you had other pairs where the communication, well, let's just say it was a little less harmonious.
Oh, I bet. Some choice words exchanged, probably a few glares that could melt steel.
Oh, absolutely. You could practically see the thought bubbles above their heads. Did you really just forget that shade of mauve?
Right. We've been over this 1,000 times. But seriously, it makes you wonder, are the twins who nail this challenge just naturally gifted communicators?
Right.
Or is it years, decades even, of shared experiences that give them that edge? You know, like they've developed this almost unspoken language just from growing up together.
It really makes you think, right? Like, is it nature or nurture, or maybe a bit of both?
Exactly. And that's what I find so compelling about this whole experiment. It's entertaining, for sure, but it also touches on these deeper questions about what makes twins tick, you know?
Totally. It's like a social experiment disguised as a game show.
Exactly. And speaking of games, let's move on to the next one. What other challenges did MrBeast cook up for these twins?
Well, after that color overload, they had to tackle something that really put their trust to the test. Blindfolded block stacking.
Oh, wow. Okay, so how does that work exactly?
Imagine this. One twin, completely blindfolded, has to build a tower of blocks.
Okay, got it.
Sounds easy enough, right? But here's the catch. They can only rely on their twins' instructions.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Talk about a test of communication.
Oh, for sure. And not just any communication, but that really specific, almost intuitive kind that you'd think twins would have an advantage with.
Right, because if anyone can understand each other without even speaking, you'd think it would be them.
Exactly. And it was amazing to see how some of these towers, like, they were actually pretty impressive. Straight, tall, you'd never guess the person building it couldn't even see what they were doing. It made me question my own ability to stack blocks, let alone do it blindfolded with someone yelling directions at me.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster for most of us. So any standout moments from this challenge? Did anyone try to pull a fast one on their twin?
Oh, definitely. Remember I said MrBeast loves throwing in a twist.
Right.
Well, during this challenge, he decides to let a twins, whose turn it wasn't, make noise,
Yeah.
to try to distract the other pair.
Oh, no. So strategic.
Oh, it was ruthless. Some were clapping, some were singing, some even resorted to, like, primal screaming.
They're just trying to psych each other out. That's next level.
It was wild. And you could see the frustration building in some of the twins trying to concentrate. It was like they went from calm and collected to ready to strangle their own sibling in a matter of seconds.
That's going to be tough, trying to block out that kind of chaos, especially when you're already relying solely on your other half to guide you.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
But even with all that noise, all that pressure, there were these moments of pure synchronization. Like you could just tell, some of these twins, they were so in tune with each other.
Really?
It was like watching a perfectly choreographed dance, except they were stacking blocks instead of, doing pirouettes.
That's wild. It's like those moments where a tower was about to topple and somehow the twin guiding them just sensed it, you know? They'd pull their hands back at the last second like they had some kind of sixth sense.
I know, right? I'm sitting there watching like, how did they just do that?
Yeah, it's got to be more than just good communication at that point. It's like they're tapping into some deeper level of connection that most of us can only dream of.
And that's where things get really interesting, at least from like a scientific standpoint, right? I mean, there's actually research on this whole twin communication thing.
Oh, absolutely. There are studies out there that suggest twins, especially those who spent a lot of time together in the room, they might develop this heightened sensitivity to each other.
Wow.
Like they're more in tune with each other's cues, both verbal and nonverbal. So it's not just about being twins, it's about those early shared experiences that solidify that connection.
That's so fascinating. So it's like they're hardwired for this kind of challenge.
Yeah. In a way, yeah. But even with those potential advantages, let's not forget the pressure cooker environment they're in. Imagine the weight of your twins' expectations, the fear of letting them down on this massive platform with all those cameras in your face.
Totally. And the eliminations were brutal. Like 1 minute you're stacking blocks of feeling good about your chances, and the next you're watching your tower crumble, your dreams of that $250,000 going down the drain with it.
And it's not just your dreams, right? It's your twins' dreams, too. That's gotta sting.
Oh, absolutely. You could just see the heartbreak on their faces when they got eliminated. It was a good reminder that even for twins, competition can be a double-edged sword. And just when those twins thought, okay, we've got this communication thing down, MrBeast throws a curveball.
Oh, what's he got up his sleeve now?
These next challenges, they're not just about how well twins work together. They're about how they make decisions when there's serious cash on the line.
Okay, so the stakes just got even higher.
Way higher. It's like he's pushing them to see if that twin bond can withstand the allure of cold, hard cash. And spoiler alert, it doesn't always.
That's fascinating. So how does he test that, then?
Picture this. It's called the $5,000 dilemma. Each pair of twins, they're offered a guaranteed $5,000.
Okay, not bad. Right.
Right. But, and there's always a but with MrBeast, there's a 50-50 chance they'll be instantly eliminated if they take the deal.
Ooh, so it's like a gamble within a gamble?
Exactly. Do they play it safe and hold out for a shot at the bigger prize, or do they grab the cash and risk going home early?
That's brutal. I can see how that would create some serious tension.
Oh, absolutely. You had twins practically begging each other to take the deal, others who were adamant about holding out for the big win. There were even a few who resorted to, physically blocking their twin from grabbing the money.
Oh, no. So much for that whole twin telepathy thing. Right.
Right. You'd think they'd be on the same page about something as important as, potentially winning thousands of dollars, but nope.
It really makes you think about the psychology behind decision-making, right? Especially when you've got those family ties, that shared history all tangled up in it.
It's like their relationship became a bargaining chip in this high-stakes game show. And speaking of high stakes, if the $5,000 dilemma tested their individual boundaries, the green button betrayal, well, let's just say that took things to a whole new level.
Okay, so what is this green button betrayal? I'm almost afraid to ask.
So imagine this. All the remaining twins are lined up, and in front of each pair, there's a green button.
Okay, I'm sensing some potential for chaos here.
Oh yeah, this is where MrBeast really stirs the pot. If a pair of twins hits their button, they're safe, at least for that round.
Okay, so far so good.
But there's a catch. If enough pairs hit their button, they get to vote another pair out of the competition entirely.
Oh, wow. Okay, so now it's not just about individual choices. It's about alliances, strategy, maybe even a little bit of backstabbing.
Oh, absolutely. And you know who became public enemy number one almost immediately? The Collins twins. They were just crushing every challenge, and suddenly everyone saw them as the biggest threat.
That's got to be a tough position to be in. You're excelling, you're working well together, but suddenly you're the target.
Exactly. And it was fascinating to watch how the other twins navigated that.
Yeah.
Some of them, They were hesitant to throw the Collins twins under the bus, like they felt some kind of, twin solidarity.
Right, like there's a code of conduct amongst twins.
Yeah, but others, they saw a chance to eliminate their biggest competition, and they took it, no hesitation.
It's almost primal, isn't it? That instinct to secure your own survival, even if it means sacrificing someone who, in any other context, you'd consider your closest ally.
Totally. And you could practically see the mental calculations happening behind their eyes. Who poses the biggest threat? Who can we realistically take down?
So much for that whole twin telepathy thing, right? At least when it comes to making strategic alliances.
Right. You'd think they'd be able to sense each other's betrayal coming, but nope. Sometimes, that desire for $250,000, it trumps even the strongest twin bond.
I guess some things are just too tempting to resist. But you know what they say, right? That's just the name of the game.
Especially in the world of MrBeast. And speaking of games, he wasn't done with them yet. Just when they thought they'd navigated the minefield of betrayal, he throws another curveball. The red light, green light sprint.
Okay, I'm getting some serious Squid Game vibes from that name. What's the challenge?
Imagine this. Lights are flashing, sirens are blaring, adrenaline is pumping. The twins, they're all lined up, and they gotta hit a buzzer the second a green light goes off.
Sounds simple enough. What's the catch?
The catch is, if they jump the gun, even by a millisecond, they're out.
Oh, wow. So it's about speed, but also precision, and maybe a little bit of luck, too.
Oh, absolutely. You got some twins taking a more cautious approach, like they're trying to time it perfectly,
right,
watching the other pairs for any telltale signs.
Okay.
Then you've got others, they're all instinct, going with their gut, hoping for the best.
I bet that was chaos.
Oh, total chaos. And you can see the toll it was taking on them, The exhaustion from the previous challenges, the pressure of knowing that one wrong move could send them home empty-handed. It was intense.
And to think, they still have to face MrBeast's final challenge after all of that.
So they've faced color memorization, blindfolded block stacking. They've even survived the green button betrayal. You'd think for the final challenge, MrBeast would pull out all the stops, right?
Right, something really over the top, like an escape room or obstacle course, maybe even something involving explosions.
I know, right? But instead, he goes in a totally different direction.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the final challenge?
Get this. It's bowling.
Bowling? Seriously?
Seriously. But of course, this being MrBeast, he adds a little twist.
Let me guess. The lanes are covered in slime. Or maybe they have to bowl with, like, watermelons instead of bowling balls.
Nope. Even simpler than that. They have to do it blindfolded.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's actually pretty smart. Blindfolded bowling. So how does it work? Is it like the block stacking, one twin guiding the other?
Exactly. One twin's got the bowling ball, they're completely blindfolded, and their partner has to talk them through the shot.
Oh, that's a recipe for disaster, even for twins who are usually in sync. I can just imagine the gutter balls, the frustration.
Oh, there were plenty of those. But then you have these moments where a pair would just nail it.
Really?
Like strike after strike, and you're sitting there thinking, they can't even see what you're doing. How is that possible?
It's a testament to how powerful nonverbal communication can be, When you're that in tune with someone, you can pick up on those subtle cues, those shifts in weight and body language that most people wouldn't even notice.
It's like they developed this whole other sense just from growing up together,
Exactly. And to think we're just scratching the surface when it comes to understanding the full potential of those twin bonds.
It makes you wonder what they could accomplish if they really put their minds to it, right?
No doubt. But let's not forget, this is still a competition, and MrBeast, he always keeps those stakes high.
Oh, for sure. And he adds another layer of strategy to this bowling challenge. Before each round, the twins, they get to pick their opponents.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about how well they bowl, but about who they choose to go up against. That adds a whole new dimension to the game.
Totally. Do you play it safe and go up against a weaker team, or do you gamble and take on the strongest pair, knowing that if you win, you eliminate your biggest competition?
High risk, high reward. I can see how that would create some serious dilemmas for these twins.
Oh, absolutely. And you can see it on their faces as they're making those decisions, weighing their options, trying to predict what their opponents might do.
It's like a game of mental chess on top of everything else they're dealing with. So who ends up coming out on top in the bowling showdown?
Well, after a lot of strikes, spares, and a few gutter balls, we get down to those final few rounds. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a bowling pin.
I bet. So who's left standing at this point?
Just 3 pairs of twins, each one more determined than the last to walk away with that $250,000.
Okay, so this is it, the moment of truth. What does MrBeast have in store for them?
He calls it the $250,000 suitcase challenge.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. How's it work?
It's actually pretty simple. There are 3 suitcases, right?
Right.
One of them, it's got the cash. The other 2, they're empty.
Okay, so far so good.
So the twins, they have to figure out which suitcase has the money.
Just like that. How are they supposed to do that?
That's the thing. It's all about intuition, observation, maybe even a little bit of that twin telepathy we've been talking about.
So it's like a high-stakes guessing game.
Kinda, but there's more to it than that. They get to ask each other questions, try to gauge each other's reactions. It's like a game of poker, but instead of cards, they're playing with their twin bond.
Wow. Okay. So how does it play out? Are any of the twins able to sniff out that cash?
Oh yeah, it gets intense. Remember the Betty twins?
Yeah, the ones who were so good at the block stacking.
Exactly. They almost had it in the bag. They were so convincing, so sure of themselves, that everyone thought they had the money suitcase.
Okay, so what happened?
At the very last second, right as they're about to make their final decision, one of the Betty twins, she makes this tiny little facial expression.
Oh no, did she give it away?
It was so subtle, like a flicker of doubt or hesitation. I don't even know if she realized she was doing it.
But it was enough.
It was enough. The other twins, they picked up on it, and just like that, the Betty twins lost their chance at the money.
Wow. Talk about a heartbreaker. All that came down to one tiny little expression. It really shows how much nonverbal communication influences our decisions, often without us even realizing it.
For sure. And in the end, after all that drama, all those challenges, it's the Morris twins who walk away with the $250,000.
They're Morris twins.
Yeah, they were kind of the underdogs throughout the whole competition.
Quiet, observant, but you could tell they had a strategy.
So they played it cool, kept their emotions in check, and it paid off.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, was it strategy, sheer luck, or was there something more at play, like they really could sense which suitcase had the money? It's the kind of question that keeps you thinking long after the video's over, you know? What does it all mean? What does it say about us as humans, about the power of these connections we form with each other, especially within families?
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole MrBeast experiment so fascinating, isn't it? It's entertaining, for sure, but it also makes us think about these bigger questions, about the nature of competition, the limits of human connection, and what we would do when faced with those kinds of stakes. So until our next deep dive, keep exploring those questions, and as always, thanks for listening.